What is up? This is Kyle with Free Speech Geek. This video is just a quick snippet from our latest podcast, FSG Weekly. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like and be sure to visit freespeechgeek.com for the latest con news. Now let's get into this. How's it going? My name is Kyle. I'm with Free Speech Geek. I'm with Adam. I'm with Steven. Guys, how is it going this week?
Good. I mean, It's Monday, and I guess we're here to try to make those better.
Is that what we do? I'm pretty negative. I don't know.
No, I think you do a good job. Like, that's why it's fun talking with you, because I think it's fun to be able to be critical, but without being super negative, and I think we pull it off.
No, we create a double negative, and so that equals a positive, when you multiply.
That's pretty good.
Are you doing math over there? I don't know. I don't think we can handle that over here. You kidding me?
But, I mean, speaking of handling, like, it's crazy just to handle what happened just this past week. And, movie releases, news, Comic-Con.
You want to go to Comic-Con news? Or you want to go to Deadpool news first? I need we need like a random generator for things like this.
Let me do my little Wolverine and Deadpool rant.
All right, we're going to Deadpool Wolverine. Let's do it.
Okay.
I took him off. And he's gone.
Mute.
This movie was a huge deal for a lot of reasons. You got Hugh Jackman, you've got Ryan Reynolds, Disney's backing it. So it's like, okay, this is a huge deal. Disney's willing to do this thing with Ryan Reynolds and Wolverine. What is it going to turn out to be? And to me, it was an enjoyable moment-to-moment experience of gags, funny things, callbacks. There was constant flow of that. But when I kind of took a step back to see how I earned these moments, especially when it came to action and all that, I was like, the story here is nothing interesting. In fact, the TVA stuff, did they have to add it because of the MCU? Because what I've never seen the show it's from. To me, that was just all this like garbage I had to sit through. It would have been more interesting if the story had to just relate to a previous X-Men movie, like for instance, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Deadpool is in that, Logan's in that, but that's actually not considered part of the timeline anymore when they were taking timeline into consideration with the 2019 Logan Wolverine talking about. So it's like I feel like they could have done something more interesting with the story tying in like a previous Fox X-Men movie. Also in the movie, there's a bunch of Deadpools that it's almost like there's not too much story reason for it. They do give one, but it hasn't had any implications other than having an action scene. They could have tied in various Deadpools from the world causing what was ever happening to happen. Like the story could have been, hey, Disney bought us, so all you Fox guys are going to be gone soon. And then so that Deadpool from that X-Men gets mad and something more interesting, because really the story was, they even called it out. Deadpool goes, oh, there's the MacGuffin. And at the end of the movie, you see them trying to blow up this machine that's the MacGuffin. And it's like they're making fun of themselves because they haven't been able to do it right, but then do it right. Because they're like, oh, look, Wolverine's wearing his costume for the first time in 20 years. It's like, okay, are you going to then do that in a proper story?
It's pointing out the problem, but not bringing a solution to the problem situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And the story itself is really just the Flash, but less depth, because it's about a red costumed superhero that has a mouth on him that has to fix something. And the more interesting part about the Flash is he ends up becoming the problem. He's only fixing it because he feels like he needs to, whereas in the Deadpool and Wolverine, he's told you need to fix this, and so I think it's a more earned story in the Flash. And the other similarities are like a callback to the old, because I love Blade so much. I hated what
that Marvel movie.
Yeah, I hated what they did with Blade Trinity. It made me so mad, because it was like, what did you guys do to Wesley Snipes? And he was mad about it too, and I think rightfully so. So when the Blade part came up, it was amazing. In the Flash, when the Michael Keaton Batman showed up, I'm like, yes, this is what I want. Whereas I think the Michael Keaton Batman informed the design. Interesting how both of these movies are very similar, but I think the Flash had a better story.
I hate that you make that Flash comparison, but it is kind of sound. It is there. It is there.
Can we at least mention that, like, in the Flash movie, you do have that very poignant moment where, he tells Bruce Wayne, he tells Ben Affleck, this is what I'm going to do, is like, I'm going to go back in time and fix things. And Bruce Wayne's telling him, don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have, it's a perfect metaphor for what's going on in Deadpool and Wolverine for a multitude of reasons, which I think you alluded to, where it's like, if you give Ryan Reynolds the key to the kingdom and you tell him, hey, don't make the movie just jokes, and he goes and does it anyway. Nobody was there to tell Deadpool to not go into the past and fix things, and no one was there to tell Ryan Reynolds, hey, I know that this is what like pays the bills for you, but please don't do this.
Yeah,
I think that Mint Mobile pays his bills these days. That $1 billion payoff from that. Let's be real.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Big Wireless has once again raised their prices.
That in aviation, right?
An
Oh, yeah.
aviation gin,
gin
yeah.
sales.
Ooh.
But Val, I'm curious what you think. You know, only because I do think you have more knowledge of like the comics side of things.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's more of a connection there.
So definitely it was fun. I enjoyed it. I love all the cameos, all of that. I'm a big X-Men fan, so those were fun.
Yeah.
But in terms of the story, you are not wrong. It's just getting from point A to point B. And one thing I will say is that he did have motivation because Paradox says he was going to destroy his universe, which was dumb. He just didn't have to say that and everything would have been fine. But that motivated him to go off and try to help. So there is a little bit of motivation there. Paradox, Mr. Darcy, that guy, whoever, I forget his actor's name, he was killing it. Like the subtle comedy where he was like serious, but then like he has like a subtle smirk, like look what I'm doing type of thing. He was killing it. But cameos are great. I loved everything. We get the, oh my god, they did X-Men 251. Cool. There is no story though. It is just getting from one place to another place. If you're looking for a movie that will save the Marvel universe, this isn't it. This, like all Marvel movies, fall into the third act nonsense, pixels flying at one another, clashing. I don't even know what was happening with the what was the machine that destroys the universe faster.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
It was just literally a MacGuffin, just like
I mean, I get they just because you point it out doesn't change. I still have that question. Why is it there? Oh man. So the third act is a mess. It's nonsense. And here's one thing that really annoyed me. The final battle with Blade and all of the X-Men characters fighting with Deadpool and Wolverine. Why did they choose to do a shaky cam? Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It was all over the place.
I think it's because of what Hollywood tends to do when it comes to fight scenes is just general choreography, nothing crazy, and then they just in post they kind of edit the scenes together. And you guys might already be familiar with this, but like I love martial arts movies. So like when I watch interviews of martial artists that do like indie films or Hong Kong films and they do Hollywood movies, that's the biggest difference. Is one is planned and one is not, and then they just slap it together.
Yeah. Essentially, I feel the same way I feel with Spider-Man No Way Home. I had a blast at the theaters. Good time. Don't think I'll ever watch. I never picked up Spider-Man again. I maybe watched a scene here or there, but I feel I'll do the same with Deadpool. I don't see me going back to this one. I'd go back to the first one every once in a while, though.
Yeah.
Occasionally the fight scene of number 2, but yeah, no.
If anything, I would cut out the Blade section and make that its own little mini movie just for me.
See, yeah, and like that was frustrating for me because that spoiler, that scene with Gambit was so great, but it was just shaky. It was just all over the place. I'm like, just let it sit, let it just breathe, let him just do his thing. Little moments like that. Like
that was like a technical decision, like maybe because of all of the effects involved, they wanted to kind of mask any potential, because you see that a lot with like especially like those Transformers movies where because there's so much like animation clipping and like it's all this CGI that's poorly done, they typically will have the camera be very very mobile and not in a way that's very conducive to seeing what's happening. It's just like, oh, chaos.
That is the problem with modern day blockbusters, like these Marvel movies, Transformers films, is the action scenes are not filmed by the director. It's filmed by the second unit director. And director
don't use an action director all the time.
Yeah, it's usually an action director. So you see like Michael Bay just doing these boring shots of just people just sitting there talking, and then they cut to the action where the action director is like panning the camera and it's swinging all over the place, and there's no cohesion between the two. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Deadpool, is just the second unit director is doing his own thing, and Sean Levy is directing his own thing.
And typically those unit directors, they don't ground the camera in a way that is realistic. You'll have these like dolly shots, like especially when it comes to CG, you can do some tracking and you can do some very interesting stuff with like drone shots and stuff like that. But sometimes when you get these impossible angles that are like, these sweeping shots, Look, I have a toddler and we don't let her watch Coco Melon because some of these camera angles that they do in Coco Melon make me nauseous, and that's exactly the feeling I get when I watch a lot of like CGI Marvel movies.